afternoon and welcome to the February 14th, 2024 City Council work session. Thank you for joining us in this virtual meeting format on both Valentine's Day and Ash Wednesday. So pick your, showing remorse or eating chocolate. I'm not sure, but welcome to this meeting. For work sessions like this one, where there is no opportunity for public comment, those wishing to access the meeting can do so by watching the live stream available on our website, the broadcast on Comcast Channel 21, or by calling into one of the phone numbers listed for this meeting on the public webcast and meeting materials web page. And thank you for joining us. And Natalie, I have a note from Councilor Keating that he's having a little trouble getting online. So and there may be a few other councilors struggling. All right. Thank you again. But with that, I will call this work session of the City Council to order, and I will turn it right over to the City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor. Our first topic today is to talk about right-of-way jurisdictional transfers, and our City Engineer, Jennifer Willer, is going to join us and walk us through that item.
All right, thank you. And I am going to share my screen here. Let's make sure I get the right one. Right. So it is, are you seeing my slideshow? Perfect. All right. Well, good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. My name is Jennifer Willer. I am the City Engineer. And today I'm presenting on right-of-way jurisdictional transfer requests of annexed county roads. Today, I will provide a brief background for this topic, highlight some relevant policies and plans, and discuss the current request of streets for jurisdictional transfer, as well as talk about next steps. Annexation and jurisdictional transfer is a two-step process. First, the right-of-way is annexed through private development or city-initiated processes. City-initiated annexations are typically related to operational needs or capital projects, but annexation does not transfer the public infrastructure. Instead, ORS 373.270 outlines the process for jurisdictional transfer of the street and infrastructure in the annexed right-of-way. Jurisdictional transfers may be initiated by the county and accepted by the city, or requested by the city and approved by the county. Historically, jurisdictional transfers have been city requested, and based on my review of records, this used to be a regular occurrence. Almost annually, staff would bring a packet of annexed county roads for City Council to initiate a request of the county. And it appears in 2013, that was the last session that such a group of streets was brought forward, and council and staff discussed concerns over the resource and cost burden on city and property owners for unimproved county roads. Historically, a city street was considered to be improved if it had an engineered pavement and road base and curb and gutter with a piped storm drainage collection system. And while sidewalk is a city requirement, historically, it has not been a minimum element for a street to be considered improved for jurisdictional transfer purposes. Eugene Code Chapters 7 and 9 outline the process to bring streets to an improved condition. Chapter 7 outlines the process of forming a local improvement district to assess adjacent property owners for the cost of improving the street. And Chapters 7 and 9 outline the process for private development to improve the street. All of these sections come with challenges related to affordability for the property owners and developers as construction costs continue to increase, and the difficulty of determining the scope of who pays for what given constitutional issues. But accepting unimproved streets into the city creates a resource and cost liability to the city for increased maintenance and operation costs. Despite these concerns, there are a number of policies that have pushed us to bring this jurisdictional transfer issue forward at this time. So let's talk policies. At the highest level, statewide land use planning goals 11 and 14. So goal 11 is the public facilities and services goal, and goal 14 is the urbanization goal. And together, these goals may be summarized as the intention of the urban growth boundary that the intention of the urban growth boundary is to identify the area of orderly extension of public facilities and services. And since the last session when City Council considered jurisdictional transfers, the city has adopted the 2035 Transportation System Plan. This jurisdictional transfer topic supports and was specifically mentioned in the cost effectiveness and financial policies in the TSP. Specifically, the policy states that in collaboration with ODOT and Lane County, develop criteria that trigger logical, phased jurisdictional transfer of streets and highways. To that end, city staff have been coordinating and collaborating with county staff to develop an intentional process to guide jurisdictional transfers. And even though this policy is not fully developed, there have been other policies and plans that made right-of-way annexation and jurisdictional transfers a timely topic. So this topic is related to the 2023-2026 strategic plan focus areas of urgent community needs and the strategic goal to stabilize the cost of housing, as this request supports more consistent delivery of services and infrastructure planning for housing and development. Also, one of the Housing Implementation Pipeline, or HIP, high priority policies and programs is to prioritize infrastructure planning and prioritization to areas within the UGB. As part of the HIP work, Public Works and planning staff have been reviewing practices and policies to support housing development, including providing public infrastructure within the urban growth boundary. And during this review, staff identified opportunities for the annexation of right-of-way and jurisdictional transfer of streets as a path to facilitate infrastructure development and housing. As part of our coordination internally and with the county, there are 3 main categories of streets that we have prioritized in today's recommendation, as well as those that are likely to come up in the near future. First, annex streets that are fully or partially improved to urban standards, and I'll come back to this in the next slide of what I mean by partially improved. But these are often a result of private development. Second, city capital projects to extend infrastructure, and those projects need to be annexed and transferred before or as part of the project. And third, city-county partnerships. Typically, this is a county-led project, but the city is a stakeholder in the design process to include the elements that would support jurisdictional transfer and city operations. Often, there is an intergovernmental agreement defining these roles and the scope of work. So what do I mean by improved and partially improved streets? As I mentioned earlier, historically, an improved street was defined as having an engineered pavement structure, curb and gutter, and a piped storm collection system. And some of the street segments in today's proposal meet this historic definition, but other streets in this proposal do not. And while the status of urban improvements is an important consideration, staff proposed that this concern be balanced with the need to support housing, the consistent delivery of services, consistent infrastructure planning, and the contextual street design principles. In addition to plans and policies already mentioned, this is where I'd like to add the TSP for a different policy and the Climate Action Plan, or CAP 2.0. The TSP and the CAP call for updating of the street design standards to incorporate complete street design. This update is several years in the making, but in late 2020, a draft updated street design standards guide was published online for feedback, and even use where appropriate and allowed. And while there have been delays in finalizing the adoption of these updated standards, we now have a lot of experience in how they can be used, and we're now making final edits based on this experience, refreshing public engagement, and coordinating the steps for final adoption in 2024. Best practices for street design and safety have evolved over the last 25 years, which is since the last time our street design standards were updated. And based on better data, land use context, and Vision Zero principles, These proposed standards include more options that consider context of the surrounding land use and safety to guide street design. And based on these considerations, streets that are partially improved to include an engineered pavement structure, paved shoulders with a functional drainage system, even if not piped, were included in our evaluation for jurisdictional transfer. With the adoption of the updated city policies related to transportation, sustainability, and housing, as well as keeping in mind the draft street design standards, staff from Eugene and Lane County increased their coordination to clarify procedures and processes regarding annexation and jurisdictional transfer of streets, which is why we're here today. The current proposal of annexed county roads for jurisdictional transfer include county road segments that are generally consistent with surrounding city streets and/or the updated draft complete street design standards. It was also considered that having the continued length of road segments under one jurisdiction will allow for consistent services and infrastructure planning, and these proposed segments are generally contiguous with existing city jurisdiction streets. So thinking of the three categories that I talked about earlier of streets for jurisdictional transfer, each of these 7 street segments fall into at least one of those categories. These streets were also chosen because they don't have the liabilities mentioned earlier about unimproved streets that are difficult to operate and maintain. So Bailey Hill Road, South Burleson Road to the urban growth boundary has paved shoulders, properties are annexed to Gimple Hill, and the city has a capital intersection project and adjacent park projects in process. Green Hill Road, railroad tracks to Barger Drive has paved shoulders, and all the properties within the UGB are already annexed. Marion Lane, River Road to Hoover Lane is partially improved with sidewalk and paved shoulders on nearly its entire length. Cornwall Avenue, Northwest Expressway to North Park Avenue has paved shoulders and all adjacent properties are annexed. Byron Street, both north and south of Irvington Drive, meet typical improved street standards and with many annexed properties. And then there's 3 segments of River Road and Irvington Drive, which are fully improved, including sidewalks. So next steps are if council adopts a resolution to request jurisdictional transfer of this package of streets, staff will forward the resolution to Lane County for consideration. The ORS referenced at the beginning of my presentation outlines the steps that the County Board of Commissioners must take if they want to consider the request, which includes a public hearing and a decision to release the streets to the city. With the city and county coordination, an intentional list of street segments is being created that will be proposed to City Council for jurisdictional transfer over the next several years. Some of these requests will be related to the expansion of city services as part of a capital project, such as the Crow Road wastewater extension and the Howard Safe Routes to School projects. Some of the requests will be related to city-county partnerships to improve streets, such as Gillum Road and Hunsaker. And other requests will be for streets annexed through private development. As described earlier, staff are in the process of updating the draft street design standards, and based on feedback, performing additional public engagement, and scheduling presentations to council, we have the goal of adoption in 2024. Which leads to our recommendation today is to adopt the resolution in attachment A to the AIS to request Lane County to transfer jurisdiction of the listed annexed streets to the city of Eugene. Thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Hey, thank you very much. That was such a clear explanation of something that feels like it's a process with a lot of layers to it. So I appreciate how you walked us through that. And I see that that Randy already has a hand up, so I'll turn it over to you, Randy.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Jennifer. I've really come to appreciate your succinct presentations. I love the economy that you use in working us through what are sometimes more complex issues. I have one question. I'm interested in knowing what incorporating CAP 2.0 and TSP is doing to increasing the cost of development. And I'm not speaking against those. I'm just trying to figure out what is the additional cost? What does that do to encourage or discourage development? And then kind of what is the cost impact when we're trying to produce more affordable housing?
So I don't have an answer to that question. I don't know if there's other city staff on the line here that can answer that question, but I would also be willing to follow up and get some more information about that.
I would just be interested in knowing, because that's a question I'm sure we will be getting from certain parties. Another question I had is not directly related to this, but it kind of is, with the Green Hill Road improvements that we're looking at. In fact, I'd sent an email earlier. I didn't include you, Jennifer, but to a number of staff people, and included Councilor Evans because it affects his ward as well. There's a 200-acre development right there at the end of Royal that transcends both Ward 6 and Ward 8. And I know we have infrastructure running out there. Will this provide the incorporation of Green Hill into, will it make developing that 200-acre parcel easier to do? And that might be a planning question. In fact, it's probably a planning question, but that's something that when I was reading the AIS, that struck me is this an opportunity? We're working to get infrastructure out to Crow Road area, but infrastructure is already there, and this is already in our UGB. It just seems like it's 200 acres of flat land that would be relatively easy to develop.
Yeah, so it's pretty specific to the property on whether or not annexations and jurisdictional transfers of the right-of-way encourage development. And I'd be happy to take a look at that request and that specific piece of property that you're looking at to see how it fits in. But as I mentioned in my presentation, working with planning staff, this is definitely an avenue that can help encourage development. So one of the requirements are that in order to annex, you have to already be touching a piece of annexed city property, and the right-of-way could be a part of that, of something that a property could touch and then be annexed. So this annexation and jurisdictional transfer of right-of-way could definitely encourage more development from that standpoint.
That's something I would be interested in exploring further, because that struck me in the past when we've talked about that, especially out in the River Road area where we have the patchwork quilt of how we can encourage more housing development at a time we really need it. So thank you very much, and I do appreciate the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Alan.
Yeah, I don't really have any questions for Jennifer. Very good explanation, very clear. But in response to what Randy's question, I think that there's several places where roads and climate change intersect in the CAP 2.0. One is one of the things that actually the city of Eugene pioneered several years ago, many years ago actually, is the warm pavement program. Instead of having hot pavement, we use a lot less energy and create a lot less greenhouse gases to do the same job, and it's turned out to be no difference in terms of maintenance and durability. So that is a greenhouse gas reduction, but it also reduces cost of doing it. So that's a reduction in cost. I know that there also an intersection of the street trees for shade. I think that's an existing requirement for most places, and that's an intersection because it increases shading, which decreases the amount of cooling people have to do and the amount of energy they have to expend, so it reduces costs as well. And then I think also another intersection is bike and ped accessibility. Most of that is already required, so I'm not sure that actually increases costs or decreases costs, but it actually can help promote climate change, this shift towards modes of bike and ped. And then I think the final intersection is not necessarily with climate change, but our that's not called Safe Streets. What's the zero deaths policy?
Vision Zero.
Vision Zero. Sorry. Yeah, Vision. Thanks, Matt. Vision Zero part of that impacts the way we design streets and the way that we do that. That may increase cost, but depends on, that's a short-term cost for a long-term gain, and it depends on how much you value life, I suspect, which I value very highly. So I think it's a great investment. So I think those kind of intersections are important to bring up, but I don't know that we actually have much increased cost because of what we're trying to do on the sustainability, Vision Zero, and climate change parts.
Thank you for all of that. Emily.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I might be a little bit confused. So if we're annexing these streets that don't have full infrastructure, I think that's correct. Who pays to get it up there? Does the city pay it, or do the developers pay it? And in the past, did it have to be all developed before we annexed it, or is this really just the same?
So just to clarify, all of these streets have already been annexed. So council's already done all the annexation. This is really about the next step of saying that we're going to take jurisdiction of the public infrastructure that's out there. And the streets that we're bringing forward to you today are developed to a state that there aren't additional costs expected to development or adjacent property owners for these streets. They're in a condition that fits the context that they're built in and provide the basic infrastructure services that are needed. Now, there's probably going to be some projects, like I mentioned, Crow Road, where we don't have the public infrastructure in place yet. And so we'll be coming back to council on a project like that to do the annexation and the jurisdictional transfer that will allow us to construct the public infrastructure on that road. Because by law, we can't build our infrastructure on something that we don't own.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very interesting conversation. Are there any other questions or comments from council about this? Any concerns? Okay, I'm not seeing any. So it looks like, Jennifer, you've answered everybody's questions. So I will turn to Council President to put a motion on the table.
Thank you, Mayor. Move to adopt the resolution at attachment A to this AIS entitled "A Resolution Requesting that Jurisdiction over Portions of County Roads Numbers 1297, 465, 1256, 1551, 1891, 2146, 200, and 540 be transferred to the City of Eugene."
Second.
All right. Any last minute comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and that passes unanimously with 6 councilors. So thank you so much. It's a good feeling to be moving forward on these transfers where there's been an 11-year pause in being able to do that. So thank you for that work. And I think with that, we're ready to move on to our second work session topic, which is the Eugene Public Library. So I'll turn it over to the manager to introduce.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm excited. I always enjoy listening to our levy reports, and this is our year 2 library levy report. So I'm just going to turn it over to our Library Recreation Cultural Services team to kick us off and lead us through their presentation.
Thank you, Sarah. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council. For the record, I'm Joshua Bates, and I am the LA Library's Recreation and Cultural Services Executive Director. I'm joined here today with Angela Ocaña, who is our acting in capacity library director. Angela will be providing an update on year 2 of our library levy, which covers from July 1st, 2022 to July 30th, 2023. Really, the emphasis of this presentation is on the expanded services that have been made possible through this levy. So with that, and with that little introduction, Angela, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Josh. Let's share my screen. All right, so as you heard, my name is Angela Ocaña. I'm the Community Services Manager and Acting Interim Director here for the Eugene Public Library. I spent the last 27 years in libraries, the last 6 of which have been here in Eugene. And I am more than thrilled to talk about the second year of our 5-year levy, which passed with an astounding 77% of voters. This year, the library crafted a new mission, vision, and values series of statements by formulating information that we gathered from our community survey, which had over 4,000 responses. Our new mission: to provide equitable resources and opportunities for everyone to create a connected, caring, and inspired community. And that's the framework with which I'll be talking about our hours and access, programs and services, and materials and technology. You can find more information in your levy report, which we will post online after this. At the Eugene Public Library, we believe in a vibrant community where we can all learn, engage, thrive, and belong. And we spend levy dollars with an eye towards equity and access. And I just want to take a moment to share what that looks like. This year, we set up diversity, equity, and inclusion trainings hosted by Transponder, a trans and queer equity-centered organization right here in Eugene. These trainings help supervisors support and guide our programs and collection staff. Additionally, we're always evaluating our policies and procedures so that the library is accessible for everyone. The last few years has brought a national discourse around book challenges and bannings. In fact, 2023, the Oregon Library Association faced the most number of challenges in their history. These challenges disproportionately affect Black, Indigenous, people of color, and queer authors and materials. We believe at the library that every person deserves to see themselves reflected in the literature on our shelves. So this year we revised our reconsideration policy, which is the document that guides how we work through challenges. We want to ensure that everybody in Eugene has the freedom to read. We offer diverse materials because they are a powerful opportunity for us to build community and to push back on bias and prejudice. This is why we buy from diverse publishers and add own voices authors to our collection. This year, we added 245 Spanish and English Vox books. So Vox books are kind of like a picture book, except you push a button and it reads you the story. This is really important for how young children learn to read, as it connects what they hear to what they see on the page. We know that people interact with our book catalog in lots of different ways, from adults with developmental disabilities to older adults to children. So we've moved towards a concept of findability. For example, if you were to walk into our kids' room right now, you would hear, "Where are all your dinosaur books? Where are the unicorn books? Where are my books on trucks?" Youth have a hard time correlating the author's last name to a specific section. And in fact, you may only find one book on trucks with that author's last name. So this year we launched picture book bins, because we want to empower our youth to easily find collections that bring them joy and inspire a love of reading. Finally, our Amazon book drop in the Amazon Quarter has been amazingly successful. It's a new place in our community to return some of our 2.71 million items we checked out this year. While the library's overall vision is to create a vibrant community where we can learn, engage, thrive, and belong, I want to touch on each of our locations and what makes them unique and special. At the Bethel Branch Library, we're focused on early literacy and Spanish language outreach with our partners at the United Way and the Bethel Family Council. Every single week, you can find a Bethel Branch staff member out and about in the Bethel community inspiring a love of reading. At our Sheldon Branch Library, we're focused on the intergenerationality and intersectionality of older adults and adults with developmental disabilities and providing them a sense of community. Our Adult Services Department is focused on community recovery, which is why we no longer charge for print jobs, for resumes, or job applications. They're also involved in community engagement, everything from book clubs to record listening stations, to the classes we teach at the Mission and inviting Mission folks to take classes here at the library. Finally, our Youth Services Department is always interested in increasing reading proficiency and confidence, as well as building upon the essential assets of all youth. This is why we've increased the number of story times and school-age programs. Our program attendance is up 13,000 over last year, and 30,000 people have come to the library this last year to be involved in our programs. All right. You probably shouldn't ask a question in a presentation, but what did the piano, a train, a tub full of isopods, and teenagers have in common? You also get bonus points if you know what an isopod is without having to Google it. They said nobody would answer, so I'll just give you the answer. They are all ways we are adapting and making our spaces more dynamic. We've seen a striking through line since the pandemic with folks' desire to build community and connection. And we've been trying to address this through our spaces. For example, at the downtown library, we've created a new tween space. So tweens are defined as ages 9 to 12. They're a little too old to be little littles and still a little too young to be visiting our teen room. But they now have a comfy, cozy space where they can play board games, use craft supplies, and have an entire collection of nonfiction books for the more awkward topics in life, like hormones and puberty. Our Sheldon Branch Library is an open concept, so it can be harder to do programs in there. So we've moved to increasing our after hours programs. This allows us to have a larger, more dedicated space. Family bingo, teen movie nights, and if you want to make it, next week's board gaming group. The minute you walk into the Bethel Library, you will immediately see their brand new train table and movable furniture. For us, play is a very important aspect of young development. This is because parents and caregivers can allow their children to search for books, use the toys in the space, and build relationships with each other so that they're less isolated and can talk to other parents. Our downtown second and third floor spaces now have a dedicated group of puzzlers and puzzles. There's a record listening station as well as a piano to bang out your best tunes, but with headphones so that you don't disturb everybody else. We've seen an increase of 300,000 people to our spaces this year over last year. But I will say one of the greatest shifts we've made is in how we look at our teen spaces and how the library provides access for teenagers in our community. Here's a video.
I feel that teens are a deeply underserved population. They tend to get a really bad rap for things that are very developmentally appropriate. Part of what I do is just build relationships with kids so that when they have a tough day or a good day, they can come talk to me about it. And I'm just another cool adult in their corner. I just love helping them learn about who they are as people. The teens usually come into the space and a lot of them will do homework. They'll also just hang out and play games online, hang out on their phone while they're waiting for somebody to come pick them up. We have this beautiful thing called the Teen Care Cart. Any teen can come by and just grab what they need from the basket. Plus, we've got books and video games, and there's people who can kind of help with homework occasionally.
Teens are super creative, they're funny. It's just always really delightful to see the cool adults that they're becoming. This is like a special area of the library. The whole point of this space is to cater to what the teens are interested in and need. We have our comfort cabinet, which has a lot of basic necessities. Sometimes they'll use the computers, all sorts of like different craft activities, puzzles and board games. And we always have information about other community resources that are better suited to meet other immediate needs. Being a teen librarian is the best job they could ever have, so.
We have created a small but very welcoming and comforting space for teens to spend time. We have books and video games, tons of manga and graphic novels. It's one of the only places where they can come and not spend money and just kind of exist. They might not check anything out, but they may spend 3 hours here in the afternoon with their friends, just laughing and playing board games or just talking. There's art supplies, there's health supplies, board games, tarot cards. I think we have the best teams. I'm so glad that they're comfortable here in our space and also with us as humans, as people.
As the former teen librarian for the Eugene Public Library, I am very biased. But I have personally seen the difference that a library makes in a teen's lives. I was recently at the 15th night graduation, and I watched library teens be super successful adults. A library creates a sense of belonging for youth in our community, and this is seen so much in the work that we do with teenagers. I'm going to share a few stories with you since I have a few minutes. The first happened just a couple of days ago. A mom walked into our space and she had to share a story about how her and her kid had come in 6 or 7 years ago to pick up their summer reading book. The mom thought that the book that the kid wanted was a little too mature, maybe not at their reading level. And as the time-old adage happens, a discourse ensued and the kid won the ability to take home the book they really wanted to read, even if their parent wasn't enthusiastic about it. And the mom couldn't wait to share how much that book had changed their kid's life. They became obsessed with it. They started writing fiction. They entered writing competitions and won. And she just wanted to share with us that single book made such a huge difference in her child's life and what could be their future. I was on the reference desk a couple of days ago, and a woman called the library. She was an older adult, and she couldn't find the phone number for the prescription pharmacy that she had to get. But she could find the library's phone number. And so we talked and chatted and tracked down what pharmacy she needed and what their phone number was. There are thousands of stories about how the library makes an impact in people's lives, big or small. Truly, the library is a lifeline to people in our community. And we think that the continued support of the City Council, our library levy, and everybody in Eugene makes us successful. Thank you.
Wow, that was great. Thank you. That is a really, as we all know, we spend a lot of time dealing with a lot of hard problems, and they often feel so intractable. And then it's just so wonderful to hear a report like this and recognize how the library steps into that space and enables people to just explore and find solutions and build relationships and do it in all different kinds of ways. I'm just really inspired and grateful to the work you do and for that report. So with that, I will turn it over to Emily and then to Matt.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. It was colorful and full of life and happiness. And I think that our libraries are the most successful part of our city. When I was growing up, an avid reader, I spent a lot of time at the library, but it was just books, which was fine with me. But I look across the street at our library and it's so much more than books. I mostly still use it for books, but it is so reassuring to know that we have a place where everyone is not only truly welcomed, but actually supported. And to hear the stories where the library has made such a difference, finding your pharmacy number, I mean, that could be life-saving, although it's not what we think about when we think about books. So our library has evolved to being so much more than just a library. It's an amazing community center. All the makers stuff you can use. When I'm not a counselor anymore, I'm going to be over there at the maker place. But I just love the programs, the performances, but mostly what I love is the staff. When I go over there and I have any confusion or I need some direction, I get it, and it's super friendly. So not only do I feel supported intellectually and socially, but I feel personally cared about. That's not something that you can find easily, especially these days. So I'm incredibly grateful to the library, to the staff, to the patrons, and to the public who voted for this levy. This is a win-win-win, and I really needed that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Semple.
Thank you, Matt, and then Jennifer.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm with
Matt, you're muted.
Can you hear me now, Mayor?
Yes. Yep.
Great. Sorry about that. I said I'm with Emily. I love our library, and I thank Angela and Josh for allowing the space to gush about the library, our love for the library, our appreciation for the voters who supported the library so overwhelmingly. As indicated by Angela, the library is open to all. It's my hope that the library remains not only open to all, but safe for all, including staff, seniors, and youth, and everyone in between who explore the limitless opportunities that our library provides. Have we seen an uptick in library usage since council adopted an ordinance last summer that prohibited unauthorized camping within 1,000 feet of the library or an education and or an accredited education entity?
Yeah. I
How
think
has that essentially affected library operations and staff and attendance?
I have a lot of appreciation for that. I think what we were seeing at the time is folks who struggled in our community who at times forgot that the library is open to everyone and sometimes made the library about themselves. We want to be open for everybody. And so since the ordinance has passed, I think that we have seen a number of individuals following the library's code of conduct, conducting themselves in a way that centers the experience on everybody and not just themselves. We have a lot of folks in our community who struggle. And so we want to be welcoming to everybody, and we want to ensure that behaviors that happen inside of the building ensure a safe, accessible place for kids, seniors, everybody in between.
Great to hear. How are staff doing?
I think it's hard. I'm not going to lie to you. The pandemic was hard on a lot of us, and coming back and watching our community, we're the front line to watching people have a hard time. And sometimes we see you on your worst day. But I think that what we are going through and the way that we work with people also provides such a sense of joy that we find ways to take care of ourselves and how the city continues to take care of us. So I think that it was a struggle, and I think that we're doing so much better now than we were a year ago.
Thank you. The front line to watching people have a hard time. That's powerful. Thank you. I was reading the report that from, I want to say 2021 that was shared with us after the library levy passed that indicated that library computer usage was up by 40,000 people annually. Do we have any data to support that there's continued uptick in access to computers at the library that I'm assuming folks are using because they may not have computers or may not have that kind of internet access or connectivity in their home or work setting?
That is a really, really great question because it catches on to a theme that we're seeing, which is actually that computer usage has decreased from the pandemic. And we're noticing it in our youth areas specifically. We think there's a correlation between youth being so tied to screens during the pandemic and their caregivers wanting to separate that there's a time and a place for screens. We're also seeing that through the pandemic, more people were provided opportunities to access devices, whether that is a mobile phone. In fact, we're seeing mobile phone usage and need for charging increase. Whereas we have not necessarily seen folks needing to use every single computer in the library. And so we're thinking about how we can adapt our spaces to that changing need. More and more people are coming in with their own devices. So how can we be receptive to this unique take on the after pandemic? So no, there is not necessarily that trend has not gone up.
Interesting. And finally, Mayor, so not to time burgle our library team and the conversation. The Makers Hub, the library of things, if there's a decrease in computer usage, but an increase in charging devices, et cetera, how healthy is the library of things plan to allow for anyone who needs anything to be able to check that out? Anything ranging from garden tools to you name it. If someone needs it, is it at the library?
The Library of Things has been astronomically successful. We started it with the Hotspot program, which is still continuing to be used. People are putting them on hold. We have over 500 devices still in circulation that we're updating. What we've seen is that people are making at home. And so they're checking out the materials that they have. Mentioned that the library used to be about books, but it's now books and it's books and so much more, from cake pans to metal detectors. We're launching a science section, so we're going to be adding microscopes, to our comfort cats. Seems silly, but we have robotic cats now for folks who have dementia or who have problems tracking and can't have a pet in their own home. The Library of Things ends up being a way to take a little bit of that technology into your own home and using it in a safe space to explore and create. So we've seen that usage go up a lot.
That is fascinating. Thank you, Angela, so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Jennifer and then Randy.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you all again for this presentation. I like how, Angela, how you said that the library's on the front lines of interacting with our community, essentially. It's not word for word what you said, but it's so true. I have noticed, or it seems that libraries have for a very long time now been on the front lines of really pushing the boundaries of what a cultural institution can and should provide for their communities. It seems like libraries especially have so quickly embraced concepts like DEAI and integrated it into everything they've done. They're just special places, and they lead the way, right? So I'm wondering, and this may not be a fair question, but what's on the horizon for libraries? Like, what do you know? It seems like an industry that changes quicker than other cultural institutions, and I'm wondering if you're seeing a new change.
What a great question. I could wax poetically on this topic for a very long time. How much time do we have? The national discourse around libraries fascinates me. I'm always really excited about it and thrilled. We should catch coffee and
I would love to.
Some of the trends that I'm seeing, and I mentioned them here, is that nationally, we have seen an increase in the number of book challenges and bannings. And so that's a real concern. I interact with folks in Eugene all the time who say, not our city, not us. But that it does affect Oregon. And so I think that's a larger piece of the discourse. There are more conversations around safety on a national level. As we're seeing people around the fringes struggle since the pandemic, we're seeing that come up in more and more conversations. A little insider baseball, I'm always really fascinated about the connection to ebook license lending and the monopolies that happen with Amazon. For example, if you use Audible, that prevents libraries from being able to access that book because Amazon has purchased the exclusive rights to that licensing. So it leaves libraries out in the cold for certain books and materials that we can no longer get digitally, which is something that was a saving grace for lots of folks during the pandemic. During the ice storm, we actually saw a phenomenal increase in the number of ebooks and resources people used. We were like, what's that trend? Everyone was trapped inside and they all used digital resources from the library, even when we were closed. So I think those are some of the topics that nationally, what's coming up next for us is how to ensure safe spaces, and certainly how we can move forward as community building spaces, as well as having books. This concept of books and so much more through national discourse, but yeah. Oh, I could talk forever.
I would love to grab coffee with you sometime, but thank you for the short version.
Yes.
Hey, Randy.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Joshua and Angela. Whenever I see the library coming up on a work session agenda, I always know there's going to at least be something that's taken away where I feel good. And I don't mean that to be negative. It's just so often we deal with problems as a council. We deal with hard issues, and it's nice to have something positive. And I do consider our library system, not just the downtown, but our branch libraries as well, to be a major front door to our city. So thank you for that and the services you provide. I also want to go down the list of the counselors that spoke before me. I thought Councilor Semple just did a really good overview, and I appreciated that, and I agree with everything she said. Councilor Keating took one of my two questions, which was about safety and security, because like our downtown, like our parks, if people don't feel safe in the library, they are not going to use it. And I think that that's essential, especially and doubly especially for our at-risk youth, which I know the library does help. I was also going to ask a question about what do you see on the horizon, and Councillor Ye took care of that for me. So thank you, Councillor Ye. So I really don't have any questions at this point, but those are issues I'm interested in as well. And I was recently invited to come down for a tour of kind of behind the scenes, but I'm just digging out after being gone for a couple of weeks. But and I've done it before, but I know it changes enough. I want to do it again just so I can kind of keep up with what's happening. And then the last piece, I recognize that our library does serve as a lifeline to people. I know what it's like to work with people and deal with people that are having the worst day of their life. And to have a place where people can go to get grounded, feel safe, have access to resources that help them learn, I think is just an important part of what we provide as a city to our community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Councilor Gross.
Thank you. Alan.
Yeah, Randy, you can join the mayor and I on our tour on the 21st, 5:30. That'll be three of us if you join. It's amazing what the library has become. You know, my personal relationship with the library, you know, it's gone from community service as a delinquent to, you know, using it for books to and research to, but today it's so much more than that. And I don't get to read much more than packets, so I don't use it as much as I should, but it's amazing what the library has become. You know, all the maker spaces and all the videos and the Audible books and everything that we're doing is, and DVDs and CDs and all sorts of things is just kind of, and the amount of stuff that's online. It's really kind of amazing when you think about the span of time and how quickly all of that has occurred. And I appreciate that it's going to keep evolving. And I think, Angela, you seem on top of it. So I think we're in good hands as we start to move towards the next iteration of whatever the library becomes. So thanks and good work. Keep up the good work. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Zelenka. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments from councilors? I'll just jump in a couple of things. First of all, I was really interested and happy to see the sort of level of the recovery, and you know, recognize your capacity to sort of be agile and innovative and try things and then change them. And then so we look forward to all of those innovations of the future. I am wondering, as you're thinking about the communities within our communities, the different populations that you try to serve, if there's any particular population or group of people that you think still need sort of more specific services. I mean, I think about maybe our disabled population, people who are blind or deaf or hearing impaired in some way. I mean, are there some other groups that are still on your list to focus on?
Yes, absolutely. That's a great question. And in fact, it was a conversation we were having yesterday to think about how we could fill the gap in services, which is some of the work, the really, really great work that we're doing over at the Sheldon Library, which is how do we make a space for community with adults with developmental disabilities? And how do we respect the dignity of folks to not necessarily equate them to children, but to validate their experience as an adult and also understand that they may have limitations in how they can experience and express themselves to the world. So that's specifically a population that we're looking at, and we're doing some work on the second. I don't want to ruin next year's levy report, but we're doing some work on the second floor with our spaces to think about how we can provide a opportunity for those folks to create community. And we're doing it on a level at our Sheldon Library, but I'd like to see us expand that and do that on a larger level. And so that's the largest population that I think I see a gap in day to day here at the library.
Yeah, that sounds great and really, really interesting work. Like, how do you reduce barriers and enable people to use? And in that barrier breaking work, I was really struck in the report about the outreach to the Eugene Mission as well, in terms of sort of bringing the library to them as people who are users, should be users, would benefit greatly from being users, and sort of also maybe demystifying it for them a little bit, that it's a place where they're welcome. So I was very struck by that. And then finally, I just have to say and then I see Emily has another comment, but I'll just say one other thing, which is that I love the idea of the bins of children's books by topic, and think that would have saved me a lot of stress and struggle when my children were little. But I will also say that I'm not that far beyond that, and that I really I'm a regular library user, and I'm going to race out today. Actually, I race out from my office, run across the street, and my two favorite spots are I go to It's Your Lucky Day shelf on the main floor, so I don't have to look very hard, or I go to the third floor in the fiction area, the display books, whatever the theme of the month is. I just figure if the librarians have decided these are worth displaying, I'm going to read one of them. And so I just, want to thank all the library teams who make that possible and make it easy for someone who doesn't have a lot of time to linger in the stacks, to just be able to walk in, find something really good to read, and be introduced to a new author or a new subject. And so thank you for curating that experience for me.
Mayor, you'll be very excited. The third floor display is Afrofuturism, and it's our celebration of Black joy. So take as many as you want.
I'm on my way as soon as this meeting is over. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Emily.
Thank you. I'm just going to reiterate what you say. My favorite thing is those lucky days. I don't have a lot of time either. I read really fast instead of watching a movie, and I can just go over there and immediately get something. So now I'm going to go up to the third floor. Thanks for that hint. And I also really like the idea of the boxes of books for the kids. When I was really tiny, I loved Beatrix Potter, but all I knew was that they were little tiny green books. And so I would circle the library for hours picking out little green books. What a way to get subjects. And it was a long time before my mother figured out that I wanted to read about, Peter Rabbit. So thanks for the books sort of do the same thing. They lead you to explore parts that you might not have before, which is a big part of the library's mission. So thank you for those two things.
All right, thank you. Manager.
Hey, Mayor, thank you. I don't always get a chance to chime in, but since we have a little bit of extra time, I just wanted to say thank you, Angela. That was amazing. And I love that way your name displays. So it looks like Ocaña is your middle name and library is actually your last name. That's what happens when you love your service so much. And I grew up in a much larger city, and I remember when I started going to the downtown library to study, and it was sort of like where I realized what was happening in the real world and not in just my neighborhood. So very big fan. You did a great job on this presentation. I also wanted to mention, in case folks didn't know, while you're running over there, I do believe the coffee shop has reopened in the ground floor, which is huge. It was missed for all these years, and it's just another sign that things are emerging. So I just get your coffee when you get your lucky day.
Get your coffee, get a pastry. Don't forget to drop off your donated books. Friends book sale is coming up in April as well. So lots of stuff to offer at the library.
Thank you. Oh, I hadn't realized the coffee shop is open. So now, okay, Emily, you and I have a date, right? We're going right across the street. So I think with that, it's just so lovely to sort of finish this meeting on such a high note. Really just appreciate the high energy of your presentation. It was really terrific and inspiring, and it's left us all with a smile on our faces. So thank you very much for that. Good work, hard work under hard circumstances often, and appreciate that that the end result is one that feels just so terrific for all that effort. So with that, thank you all, and we are adjourned.